guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Now, in the previous episode, we discussed the beginnings of the feat roll. Well, now we're going to get a little bit more into detail with this, all right? We already learned how to cross-reference the top part and the bottom part of this entire bottom half of the universal table. All right, so you know that, let's say if you're going to use Cyclops, you're going to use the character Cyclops in combat or as a game. You have excellent 20 agility. So when you want to shoot something with your I-beams, your optic blast, you've got excellent 20. You're going to roll under excellent 20 to hit, unless extraneous circumstances occur. If you've got really poor visibility, you might go to the left. You might fall shy. You won't be able to hit as well. Maybe you've got clear line of sight, clear day, and I don't know, the other guy is glowing pink or something like that. It's like, oh yeah, I can clearly see you. So you might go to the right a little. You might shift it to the right a little bit. Get a little bit better chance to hit this fool. So that being the case, you're going to find your rank, and then you're going to roll your dice, your percentile dice, come down here and see where exactly you land. So let's say under excellent, you're going to roll a 47. So under 47, sliding on over, we're going to see that excellent is going to be in the green. Okay, but what does green mean? We know white is a miss. We know green is a hit. But what exactly is that? And what's the yellow and the red? Why does it look like a bowl of Trix cereal at the bottom of my chart here? All right. Well, let's examine the tricks and see if they're really just for rabbits. What we have here is the top of this chart here. Here's where you're going to find what exactly your attack best represents. Okay. So if you are firing, let's say, a gun, or if you're going to be firing a bow and an arrow with a standard arrowhead, a sharp arrowhead, you're going to be shooting. Okay, so that's a third part over here from the far left. You're going to be under the shooting table. So you're going to check what the results mean in there. So let's say Hawkeye gets a yellow result with his firing, so with his shooting, with his bow. But he's just using a regular arrowhead. Now, his trick arrowhead's very different. They say exactly what the cases are, what all of those things do on there, and that's that. Okay, so you don't have to worry about getting a kill result on this, that, or the other thing. They say exactly what they're going to do on his arrows. But as for here, let's just say the Taskmaster uses a regular arrowhead and fires at someone. Okay, what happens here? He gets to the yellow, that's a bullseye. So instead of just a standard hit, okay, you're going to take a little bit of damage, he can say exactly where he hits. Okay, he can't exactly turn this into a kill result, but he can do something different with it. So he can, let's say, with his bullseye result, he can say, okay, I'm going to hit the guy in the hand and see if I can make him drop his weapon. Okay, excellent. The judge may choose, and this is where a judge comes into play. You actually earn your keep with the name. What exactly you're going to do now? Is the guy, are you just going to say he automatically drops a weapon because it favors the storyline? It's up to you. Are you going to say, okay, he's going to roll an agility to see if he loses grip on his pistol? Or are you just going to say, okay, let's see if he rolls endurance to see if he can take the pain from actually being hit? Anything you want to do within reason, by all means, that's up to you as the judge. But it is up to the player to figure out how exactly it is that he's going to attack or do whatever it is that he's doing with guidance from the judge. So with that bullseye, you can also say, okay, you know what? I would like to graze the person's head and use that bullseye as, let's say, a stunning attack. So I've got a chance to make this guy roll on a stun. That's perfectly within the rules also. You can check out the player's handbook for that, right around page number 24 through 30. All right? So this being the case, there are many different results you can use on here. Now, I'm going to take a step back and tell you about my love for this universal table. Mind you, I've said before, I'm going to say it again, a quick little reminder. The universal table is, in my opinion, one of the most narrative, while it's one of the most narrative features about any pen and paper role-playing game, I think it is the most balanced. Okay, you've got games that are over on this side, like Dungeons and Dragons. I don't care if it's second edition with Thaco or all the current editions where you just roll. You're rolling a 20-sider and you either hit or you miss. Oh, there's also the caveat of a critical miss or a critical hit, depending on how the dice actually fall. for the most part, there's nothing narrative about that. It's just an extra feature. Okay, you miss horribly as opposed to regular miss, or you hit really well as opposed to just a regular hit. It's still up to the player to actually make the narration for what exactly happens. And then you've got games that are in some ways a little too narrative. Like case in point, you have Star Wars, FFG Star Wars, with the narrative dice system, where you can actually get 17 advantages and 0 hits. So you technically miss, but without some kind of a house rule, you've got the coolest miss in the world, but it's still a miss, and who cares at that point? It sets it up where you could still be shot back. Hey, good luck there, Guido. Han did shoot first. Probably ticked off a whole bunch of people saying that. Regardless, this is very accurately balanced as far as I'm concerned. So let's say we're going to go with the original example of Cyclops. So Cyclops is going to fire with his excellent 20 optic beams. We're going to give him a +1 to hit because, like I said, the other guy is glowing. So he's powering up, and it's very clear that he's out in the open. There's nobody in front of him. Boom. Perfect line of sight. It is, after all, like I said, line of sight. There is no lining up a scope or anything like that. So he's going to take a shot under Remarkable. He's going to roll a 99. Whoa, that's an incredible, Remarkable, but that's an incredible roll. That's unbelievable. So check this out. We're going to use Force Attack. So under Force Attack, okay, using the Remarkable, it's a modified Remarkable power rank to hit. He's going to go and check down with 99. That's in the red. When you look at the red up here, that's a stun. Boom. So it's not just a hit, it's a stun attack. So I can say, okay, you rolled a stun for the guy. You hit him right in the face just as he was turning around to look at you. Caught him completely off guard. Now I'm going to roll against his stun. So what will I do here? I'm going to take his endurance and I'm going to roll, and I'm going to see exactly what happens. So let's say that this bad guy has a typical endurance. Okay, cool. So I'm going to have the typical endurance up here, and I'm going to roll under his endurance. I'm going to roll the percentile dice. So I'm going to get a 14. 14, you're kidding me. That's in the white. This guy's got no chance. So not only does this guy take the 20 points of damage that he would take, because Cyclops isn't going to unleash with a full-fledged, barrage. He's just going to, 20 points of damage, that's more than enough. There's a regular human, there's a purifier. You know what I'm saying? He's been purified. We're done. We don't need to actually kill the guy. We don't need to bring him to 0 health. He'll stay down when he takes 20 points of damage from full health down to, he's got 6 points left, 8 points left? No, he's done. Put a fork in him, or an optic blast in his face. So he's going to take a stun, but this is a superior stun result. This is perfect. So with him failing, that says you're going to be stunned for 1 to 10 rounds. That's easy. Instead of rolling both percentile dice, choose one of the die, drop them. Whatever roll you get, let's say you roll on 7. Okay, that's 7 rounds. You are now stunned. He is out of combat, walking around dazed, or just laying there looking at the stars, running between his head. So that's easy. And then the judge can simply say, oh, he's turning around, he gets hit in the face, and he just goes falling back, and his head slams against the ground hard. And he just, and he's out of it. You don't know how long he's going to be down for. 7 rounds. But yeah, he's down 7 days. Or you could even say, okay, you got a stun result on him. Maybe the player says, oh, I rolled a stun 99. Yeah, it's like, all right, tell me what you did. So the player might decide to say, okay, well, here's what happens. Bang, 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 bang. Now, granted, you could do the exact same thing for the most part in Dungeons & Dragons, but this chart changes that a lot. This drastically changes things. It tells you that you have an extra special bonus feature to what you're going to do. So damage is, for the most part, always very static. You're always going to do the same amount of damage. The treat is in the colored results. You get to see what special things happen. So let's just take a look at some of the things that can happen. Let's say you're going to do blunt attacks, okay? Blunt attacks here, the very first one, it says you're using your fighting. So clearly, when you're using your fighting, a blunt attack, this obviously means it's something that you're in melee with, okay? So you're going to punch someone, you're going to kick someone, you're going to headbutt someone. Maybe you pick up a lamppost and swing it, or a mailbox and you crash it overhead. Okay, maybe it's some kind of another weapon like a baseball bat, and you're going to go and crack at the guy's kneecaps, or a Harley Quinn hammer. Who knows? All right, but it's something where the weapon is still in your in your hand, and you're going to go and swing and strike the person with this weapon and not release it from your hand. Done. And it's not going to be an edge attack. That would be different. So a sword is on this column, a hammer or mace, Morningstar, is over on this column. Okay, so that being the case, you can get a miss in white. A green, it says you just get a standard hit, whatever. But let's say you get in the yellow. That's a slam. Depending on how this person fares in the slam, it might be a stagger, which moves him back a little bit so he's not up in your face and you've got an extra attack on the guy. It could be a one-round slam where he actually goes flying back 10 feet or so, falls off his feet. He's had his bell rung. Or you can get really silly with it. And you can say that it's a grand slam, and he's going to go back, and we'll get into the slams and all the different things you could do with that. And he's actually going to go flying way back and through a couple of buildings and walls and fall into a crocodile pit. Who knows? Who knows? There's your edge attacks for you. So all these terrible things can happen with a grand slam, right? But that's the chart will tell you based on your dice roll and your power rank. So clearly, the higher your power rank, not only the better chance you have to hit, but a better chance to get all of these minor attacks down here, these extra bonuses to the things you can do to increase narration, increase your chances of taking down the bad guy. Obviously, if you stun a bad guy, you can ignore him for a minute and go after the other bad guy who's over here. Give your partner a hand, So let's say you are on edge attack. Let's say you're the Black Knight. So you're the Black Knight, and all of a sudden here comes this bad guy. He's going to come at you, but you manage to win initiative, and you're going to roll to hit. Now, let's say you roll to hit, you roll good, and you end up in the yellow. So with the yellow up here, it says that you get a stun. You notice that slam has been removed from this list, and it goes right into stun. Why? Well, not too easy to slam someone with an edge attack. Now, he can always choose to turn it sideways and you can actually hit with the flat of the blade. Now it's a blunt weapon. Or you can even choose to hit with the pummel of the handle. That's perfectly fine also. It's a blunt weapon at this point. You can choose to punch with the sword still in your hand. No worries there, bud. But if you're just going to go to swing the sword as an actual sharp object sword, or you don't say otherwise, a sword is meant to cut. So there's that. So there's a chance to stun immediately in the yellow as opposed to in the red with a blunt attack. But here's the thing. What if you roll in the red? Well, when in the red, you got a kill result looking at you. Kill result is a dangerous roll, and we're going to get into all that good stuff in a bit. Understand that the general rule is that a kill result is always going to be a kill result. All right, particularly with things you can choose to reduce that. Not a problem. You can choose to reduce that with certain attacks. Anything that says up to. All right, up to this amount of damage. That's usually a dead giveaway that you can choose to pull a punch, okay? You can, with a sword, you don't have to necessarily run the guy all the way through. You can instead do a slash where it's like, oh man, this guy could have killed me, but he clearly moved his shoulder back. You know what I'm saying? He cocked his elbow back when he was taking a swing at me instead of just going full in and disemboweling me, You can choose to draw that back and go into a stun result instead. Make the guy roll on stun instead. But with something like shooting, okay, that's a bow and arrow without trick arrows. That's very specific, just a standard bow and arrow. Or a gun, something where you can't really pull your punches on. That's going to be a slightly different story. With shooting, can't pull your punches on. A kill is a kill is a kill. That's the reason why guys like the Punisher, nobody really wants to mess with him, Let's say you're going to go and try and shoot, you're hoping for a bullseye to try and shoot the gun out of his hand. Unfortunately, you wind up rolling in the red. You can't granny walk that back, bud. Sorry. It's just not in the rules. If you want to house rule it, that's up to you. Make the guy spend, 40 karma to walk that back a little bit, saying to avoid actually killing him and losing all of his karma. And maybe that's, that 40 karma is usually a loss, like, you involuntarily killed someone. You can make it 20 if you want, like he almost involuntarily killed someone, or he almost accidentally killed someone. He realizes that, oh man. Or maybe it's enough that he's just stunned for a round, that he realizes what could have happened to him. Whatever you want as the judge, be as narrative as you choose. Be as narrative as you can. Have some actual fun, with the game. But here, a kill result is a kill result. Maybe you were trying to disarm him. Maybe you were just trying to shoot him in the leg to shoot to wound. But that's the thing with guns. If the guy turns and moves, suddenly that graze in the leg, when he bends down because he had his gun and he bends down, now all of a sudden you shot him in the liver. Oh, man. This guy's probably not going to make it, but you can hope. Either way, getting a kill result should absolutely cause karma loss to the person who does it. Not just if the person dies, that's one thing, but if the person survives kill result, that should be something that sticks with you. I mean, unless you're the Punisher, but that's up to you. Anyway, so yeah, that's the deal with that. So in general, I hope that you understand now how to use the charts up there. Now, you're going to actually have to go through the player's book to see how all of these work. And I will happily make videos on them if I'm asked enough, or just if I get around to that point where I feel like enough of the game has been explained, I can go back and start walking through some of these individual ones up here. But for the most part, I'm good. Cyclops himself, he'd be using the force attack. Force attack is agility, and it's a concussive attack. So he has the opportunity to get a miss, a hit, a bullseye, or a stun. He's not likely going to kill somebody with that. Now, you can narratively say he did too much damage. If he chooses to do a little bit too much damage, you bring somebody down to 0, that's an automatic kill result. That's an entirely different story. That's another beast entirely. That's where all of a sudden it's like, oh man, you actually snapped his head back so hard that it snapped his vertebrae. Guy goes down. Guy's actually dying. He's got a broken neck right now. There's a chance that, he's suffocating now. You know what I'm saying? Because his head is twisted in a really odd angle. Can you try and fix him? Can you try and help him out? So there's all sorts of different ways you could play with that. And I'm going to get into that with death and endurance loss and all that good stuff later. But for now, basic rules of the game. Now, the next time that I see you next week, I'm going to hope to actually get into the full-on intensity feats, where there's going to be, in a sense, a contest of wills. You can actually have a contest of wills using this game. And that's going to be interesting, where you see how you're going to shift front and back depending on which person you're using. That's really good for wrestling. That's really good for anything that you're going to do. Strength is a really important part, but anything on here is important for dodging, also for trying to rend objects and rip through materials. This is going to be the final video on the universal table in and of itself. I'll always be using the universal table, but these 3 videos, this one, the prior, and the next, should complete all of your understanding for the universal table in and of itself. All right, guys, that's it for this week. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next week. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.
Thank you.